Well, for a game that felt like a bit of a slog at times, that was a freaking awesome win. And last week we talked about the fact that the 49ers were still in pretty good shape, all things considered. Well, Kyle Shanahan looked at the film from the Tampa Bay game and came to the same conclusion. He called it, quote, inspiring, and showed it to the rest of the team, hoping to inspire them. Well, I would say it worked. We saw another masterclass from Robert Saleh, holding the Falcons to just 10 points. On the offensive side of the football, Christian McCaffrey returned to form, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, but more importantly, as a team effort, gained 100 yards on the ground, 5.0 yards per carry for CMC. Let's take a look at the film because there is a lot of cool stuff to see in this very important victory for the 49ers. Coming off a big Monday Night Football victory against the Buffalo Bills, the Atlanta Falcons entered Levi's with a red-hot offense. But this was, like I said, a defensive masterclass by Robert Saleh. The superstars out on injury, but once again, it's that special combination we've been seeing all year between younger players and the mix of veterans, including on this play, Jordan Elliott, who gets great penetration. And then once flushed from the pocket, Sam Akayawana gives chase, forcing Michael Penix to throw this ball away. This brings up a 3rd and 5, a very makeable down, but once again, I love the physical play we're seeing from the 49ers here, and Robert Saleh got creative early. That's Sam Akayawana dropping back into pass coverage, and it works. D. Winters comes on the pass rush. The tight end tries to pick him up, but it's a little bit too late. Penix hurries his throw a little bit, and the ball hangs in the air, allowing Marquis Siegel time to come over and make the play on the receiver before he can pick up the first down. Aggressive physical play, great technique from the players, strong defensive play calls from the coaches, and that special mix of young players and veterans lead to an early 3-and-out for the 49ers defense. I debated on whether or not to show you guys this play. Ultimately, it's part of the story of the game. Dominic Pooney just gets beaten here off the line, and Mac Jones is brought down for the sack. And this would be the only sack of the ball game for a very talented Atlanta Falcons defense. Kyle Shanahan on 2nd and long decides to go to the ground game with Christian McCaffrey. Completely understandable. McCaffrey had a spectacular game. He was virtually the only one able to steal the show from Robert Saleh. And we would see McCaffrey over and over and over again in this game. He was incredible. Naturally, I have a little bit more to say about the play than that, and from this angle we get a great look of the 49er offensive line moving to their right, and the Atlanta Falcons go with the flow, allowing Trent Williams to pin the defensive tackle to the inside, and that's the block that CMC would run behind. But what really makes this play work, in my opinion, is the safety. The safety is too far away to be effective in run defense. Why? Well, there's something that defenses haven't had to worry about over the last several weeks, and that is the presence of George Kittle. 2nd and long is a passing down in the NFL. This absolutely would have been a time in the game to call a pass route to George Kittle, and just watch the safety on this play. He has to keep an eye on Kittle. He keeps an eye on him, and it's already too late. He comes up, it's too late. McCaffrey has already gained the yardage. And that jumped out to me. On the second play of the game, we see a big run from McCaffrey, not through some spectacular blocking from George Kittle, although he was outstanding blocking in this game, but just his presence alone on the field opened up the run game for San Francisco. All right, so it's 3rd and short now. What do you do if you're Mac Jones? Maybe you're tempted to go to the deep shot to Kendrick Bourne. Maybe you come over the middle to George Kittle. But it seems like I bring this up every week. I just like the simple, efficient decision making of Mac Jones. He just takes the underneath route to Christian McCaffrey, well within the line to gain one-on-one against the defender, and it's no problem. He picks up the first down. Mac Jones didn't light up the stat sheet, but he was awesome in this game, and we're going to talk about that more as this video continues. Now, one more thing I want to show you from this angle, just because, we should talk about it while we have the chance. Jake Brendel, who kind of looks like the Patriots logo here, a bit embattled this season, right? Some of his blocking has been criticized. He would leave the game due to an injury. So I just wanted to show you one play of his before we move on. I thought this one was pretty cool. Watch as he blocks 2 players in pass protection on this play. Okay, let's move ahead to the second quarter. And I say that because the Falcons would go on a very long drive. We see Tatum Bethune is back in the game. He would leave for most of this long drive. And it's important, I think, to acknowledge the fact that this team, while we're seeing just a very cool, special, aura surrounding the magic that this team seems to create in absence of their key players week after week, they're still learning. Like, they're still developing. It's still coming together. It's very fun and exciting to watch, but it's not always going to be perfect. And I think it's okay to acknowledge that. So the Falcons did go on a huge 19-play drive where Bethune was out most of that drive, but here he's back in, and we would see a few important things on this play. I stopped it here because if you're Penix, I think you have to take this throw. It's 3rd and 4. This would pick up the first down. Worth noting here that the receiver Darnell Mooney, we see him glance at Penix maybe, but he doesn't really seem to be looking for the pass. When you see this full speed, he just seems to be headed for the second window, and I think that threw Penix off. That's probably why he didn't throw it. Okay, let's go back to the snap. In the absence of Nick Bosa, we do see the speed rush of Bryce Huff as well as the power rush of Sam Akayawanwu. And when you hesitate against this 49ers defensive front like Michael Penix did here, they still have the ability to make you pay. Both would converge on Penix for the sack. A big 3rd down stop after a long drive to hold the Falcons to a field goal. This was a significant play in the game, I thought. The Falcons do get on the board and lead it 3-0, but you can see how the 49er defense reacts running off the field. That felt like a victory for the 49er defense there. Mac Jones was fast with his reads over and over and over again on the radio broadcast. Tim Ryan kept saying he was on time, and that's an absolutely perfect way to describe it. Here, the back foot hits, the ball comes out, and it's a first down to Juwan Jennings. But as we know, the star of the show was Christian McCaffrey. And Christian McCaffrey said after the game that Kyle Shanahan said it takes the entire team to run the ball. You have to have the receivers willing to block. You have to have the offensive line. Obviously, the quarterback has to carry out their fakes. The defense has to play good enough defense to allow you to run the football. It really is a team effort. And here, once again, we see the offensive line moving to their right. Trent Williams pinning the tackle to the inside, and Luke Farrell and Dominic Pooney are able to get to the linebacker level, opening up the hole for CMC. We've seen some good things from the 49er offense on film to this point, but they have yet to score in the ballgame. But once again, Mac Jones is efficient. Back foot hits, ball comes out, hits Juwan Jennings in the hands. He drops it and the pass is intercepted by the Falcons. Oh, what a big play for the Falcons defense. And Juwan Jennings did not have a good game. We're going to talk about that. I'm not here to pick on him. I think he's clearly playing injured. There's been a lot of talk about him needing to make a certain amount of plays to reach his incentives. He's under some pressure. And this game just didn't go his way. In any event, the Falcons would get the ball looking to capitalize. Well, this is a great response by the 49er defense. We're going to look at several plays where nobody on this team quit. Nobody took a play off. Everybody gave maximum effort on every play, which is really hard to do in the NFL. but necessary if you want to win these big games. Here, Bijan Robinson gets the toss to the outside, and he was leading the league in yards per carry average for running backs. San Francisco held him to just 2.9 yards per carry in this game, and it's no secret as to why. Here he is running to the side of the field, the furthest guy, all the way on the opposite side of the line. Bryce Huff gives chase. Just watch this effort. Outstanding. You know, Bugatti Bryce has been blessed with the speed, but it was his effort that made this play a success for the defense. Now, during the production of this video, it was revealed that Bryce Huff did suffer a hamstring injury during this game. He is going to miss a couple of weeks. It makes you wonder if that changes the equation for John Lynch at all in any possible trade scenarios, you know, looking to keep this sort of special season going for the 49ers. Either way, it's a little hard for me to feel discouraged about this injury. The next man up philosophy has been working for the 49ers. Robert Saleh is coaching these guys up, and the team is just excelling in spite of all these injuries, which, you know, supposedly, theoretically, should be slowing them down. And look, that was a big play. The 49er offense would get the ball back, and Kyle Shanahan would call a toss play of his own to Christian McCaffrey, with Kyle Juszczyk leading the way. You know who had a good game for the 49ers? Trent Williams. And here he gets to the second level, bearing down on the safety. And yeah, if you're Jesse Bates, that's got to be a terrifying prospect. But if Trent Williams is heading downfield, who then is going to block the defensive end? Well, Jauan Jennings. Kyle Shanahan has been accused of abandoning the run before, but definitely not in this game. He calls another one to CMC on the very next play, and we see Dominic Puni get a block on the defensive tackle and then peel off and take on the linebacker. And also Colton McKivitz had a good block on the outside, and yeah, that's just a ton of room for Christian McCaffrey to run this football. Very next play. What do you think Kyle called here? CMC up the middle, and he is trucking the Falcons. And from this angle, we get a great look at the linebacker for the Falcons. You know, he has to decide which gap to defend here, and it doesn't really matter because a certain George Kittle is all over it. Two plays later, San Francisco would be facing a 3rd down and 4, and here they make the unusual decision to hand the ball off on 3rd and 4. Of course, looking at this part of the field, you know, they're probably too far away for a field goal, too close to punt. This is probably 4 down territory here. And of course, they have their secret weapon, George Kittle. Well, that defensive end he's blocking is Leonard Floyd, right? He played very well for the 49ers last year, and here he surprises Kittle. He doesn't stay in his rush lane. He goes to the inside, and this takes Kittle by surprise, but it turns out to be a benefit for the 49ers because when Christian McCaffrey bounces, there's nobody there to make the stop. And from this angle, we get a great look at something I mentioned earlier. Mac Jones hands the ball off, and then he stands there and carries out his fake. He looks like he's scanning the field, getting ready to throw a pass. And this is the kind of thing that only benefits you once every 1,000 plays. Once in a blue moon, you'll see a defender take out a quarterback that's just standing back there doing that. And that's the point, right? To draw a defender away from the running back, it almost never works. But, you know, sometimes it does. And we are seeing on film right before our very eyes, that is the kind of player Mac Jones is. He does the work on every play. And then McCaffrey makes a man miss. Gosh, he was so good in this game with his feet. With the 49ers threatening, we would see another element of Christian McCaffrey's game. The Falcons, of course, don't want the 49ers to score, so they send a 6-man rush, at least initially. So this time, CMC stays in to help with pass protection. We've talked about it on this channel before. If you want to be a successful running back in the NFL, you have to do more than just tote the rock. You have to be able to catch passes out of the backfield, and you have to be able to protect the passer. Number 96, Zach Harrison, does get a little bit of a push on Colton McKivitz, and Mac Jones, it does seem like his, pocket awareness is improving week after week as he gets more playtime. He senses this pressure here and decides to scramble, but he keeps his eyes downfield. The defense, like 5-year-olds running towards a soccer ball, just completely focuses on where the ball is. They run towards Mac Jones and forget about Christian McCaffrey. The foreshadowing with catching passes out of the backfield and pass protecting and running the football. We've seen it all on this drive from CMC. He is the total package, and not only can he do it all, he's the best at it all. And did I mention that Trent Williams had a good game? If you have any doubt about who it was that finished off this drive for the 49ers, boy, are you in the right place. I am here to tell you it is Christian McCaffrey, touchdown 49ers, who does the Mary Lou Retton at the end of the run. Very impressive. Well, George Kittle said after the game they saw a very talented defensive line for the Atlanta Falcons on film. They were extremely fast, but also lightweight. Kyle Shanahan correctly deduced that they would be able to move them with their physicality. And here we see Dominic Pooney and Colton McKivitz crash down to the inside. Kittle holds his own until the cavalry gets there, and Christian McCaffrey is loving it. We are about halfway through this video and the game with just 1:48 left. Eddie Pinheiro kicks through the extra point, and the 49ers take the lead 7-3. Earlier this year, we looked at a play where Bryce Huff had a head start on the right tackle and came up with a strip sack, winning the game for the San Francisco 49ers. Well, what about a play where the right tackle actually gets off a little bit quicker than Bryce Huff? Take a close look. Well, it doesn't matter. Sack, fumble, and the 49ers recover. Wow. The 49ers don't gain any yardage, so with just 43 seconds left in the first half, they send Eddie Pinheiro out for a 55-yard attempt. A very long one at Levi's. The kick is up. It's got to go a long way, and it's good. Eddie Dinero is money. Finally, the Falcons are able to gain some chunk yardage. Despite the double coverage, they get a completion. And with just 10 seconds left, they would be in position to take one more shot at the end zone here. And this would be a significant play in the game. We can see that the Falcons are easily in field goal range, but I'm going to draw the tackle box here, the outside edge of where those tackles are lined up. You can see the hash running right down the middle of those two lines, and some of you already know where I'm going with this. All right, all the Falcons are looking to do here is to see if they can get the 49ers to screw up defensively, and they will have told Penix, look, if you don't have a wide open touchdown here, just throw the ball away. That's the goal. Try to get a touchdown. If it's not there, throw the ball away. And look at this. Who else? Bryce Huff gets the pressure on Michael Penix, and he gets ready to throw the ball away. But remember where that tackle box was. Remember the hash was running right down the middle of it. Penix does get this ball to the sideline, past the line of scrimmage, but there are no receivers in the area, and he is still in that tackle box. Now, if you're anywhere near the edges, the officials are pretty lenient with this, but we can see he is right in the middle. This would be a penalty for intentional grounding. Well, a penalty ordinarily would stop the clock. An incomplete pass, as we know, stops the clock. But just imagine, what if here the 49ers had come up with a sack? In that scenario, the clock would run. Well, it shouldn't be fair or legal for the offense to commit a penalty and stop the clock in a situation where the clock would otherwise run. That's an unfair advantage to the offense. So a while back, the NFL put in this rule: if you commit an intentional grounding like this, that would be a 10-second runoff. Remember, there's 10 seconds before the end of the half. So the time would run off, the half would end, and the 49ers get the ball to start the second half. No field goal attempt for the Falcons. And watching this live with my wife, she said, wow, that's like a turnover. Yeah, you're not kidding. What a significant play that was. The 49ers go into halftime with the lead, 10-3. It takes a long time to make a video like this, so if you could give me just 2 seconds and hit that like button, I would really appreciate it. And if you want to see more content like this, hit subscribe. But you should be aware that the NFL is making it harder and harder to post videos like this on YouTube. So to guarantee yourself access to these breakdown videos, check out the Patreon page. It is 100% free to sign up. You will continue to get access to these weekly breakdown videos. And if you ever want to upgrade your membership, you will get access to bonus content as well. And it's a great way to support the channel. And folks, we have tiers starting as low as $2 a month. So check it out. There's a link in the description. I'll see you guys over there. Let's get back to the game. In the third quarter, Mac Jones would continue to impress. And just think about that series of plays we looked at before the end of the first half. The touchdown to CMC, the strip sack of Michael Penix, the long field goal by Eddie Pinheiro, and then the bungled intentional grounding play by Penix to end the half without a field goal attempt for the Falcons. They want to do something to turn this game in their favor. So here they send the very sneaky corner blitz. In fact, this even fools Trent Williams of all people. But now that the corner is no longer defending Juwan Jennings, that means the safety is going to have to pick him up. So there's no safety help to that side. There's no extra defender over there. This means Kendrick Bourne is going to be one-on-one with the corner. That puts the Falcons at risk for giving up a long touchdown. So they do the prudent thing. They give the receivers on that side of the field a lot of extra space. Kendrick Bourne takes the space the defense left behind. And here we see the blitz. No one accounts for him on the offensive line, but Mac Jones stays calm, keeps his eyes downfield, and he does the right thing. He throws into the blitz. Kendrick Bourne comes up with the first down, but there's someone's name we haven't called yet in the receiving game. George Kittle had gone 126 straight games with a catch, held without one in this game. And you know, when you are returning from an injury on a big primetime game, you want to get that guy going in the receiving game, you know, especially to get the crowd going, just get him back involved in the game. Who remembers back 1997, Jerry Rice's return from injury, the 49ers went right to him. Why didn't they do that with George Kittle in this game? Well, after the game, George Kittle said they tried. Kyle Shanahan called a number of pass plays for him. The Atlanta Falcons really went overboard trying to take George Kittle away at all costs, and Mac Jones does a good job here of not forcing the football to George Kittle. He just takes the check down. It's Sky Moore. We get to see Moore's punt return skills, making people miss in the open field, and the play gains 15 yards. Great job by Mac Jones and this offense. You know, it's funny. At the top of this video, I said watching the game live felt like a little bit of a slog, but the play of the 49ers is just jumping off the film here. And when the Falcons least expect it, Kyle Shanahan hits him with Christian McCaffrey again. What else am I liking about this team? Well, Dominic Pooney. He had not played well to start the season. He had been playing through injury, but he seems to be doing better and better. And here he blocks 2 defenders on 1 play. CMC gets matched up one-on-one with the safety in the open field. And how many times did we see Frank Gore in this position make that safety miss? Well, Christian McCaffrey would be up to the task. Frank Gore eligible for the Hall of Fame at the conclusion of this season, and Christian McCaffrey can't be too far behind him. The drive would come to an end, and I promised you guys I'm not here to pick on Jauan Jennings, but we do let the film tell us what we're seeing. Jauan's got to get both feet down in bounds there. That was an unacceptable effort. Nevertheless, Eddie Pinheiro is there to salvage the drive. They get 3 more points, so the 49ers extend their lead, going up 13-3. But then Pinheiro would attempt the dirty ball kick, but it ends up being a line drive directly to the returner, and this is pretty terrible. He's able to get a great jump right off the bat and just get right upfield, and the 49ers are very fortunate that this was not returned for a touchdown. Atlanta would finally take advantage of the good field position. Bijan Robinson, you can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him. They get on the scoreboard, making the score 13-10. Let's move ahead to the 4th quarter. All right, there's 9 minutes to go in the game, and here the Falcons are facing a pivotal 3rd down and 1. And we would see more of that great team defense on this play. Again, nobody taking a play off, maximum effort here. We'll start with Sam Kaiwanu, who gets great position to the inside, but Drake London pins him in that direction because this is going to be a run to the outside. Nevertheless, Kaiwanu keeps working. Just file that away for later. In the meantime, Jordan Elliott pursues to the ball, and I love seeing these big guys run down the line like this. And finally, Tatum Bethune, wearing Fred Warner's rookie number, doesn't wait to take on the blocker, just penetrates straight away, forces Bijan Robinson back to the inside, where Kaiwanu and Elliott make the stop for no gain. This brings up a massive 4th down and 1 for the Falcons. First of all, let's talk about the decision. We can see they're on the 35-yard line. That would be about a 52-yard field goal from here. Not the easiest field goal at Levi's, but as we've seen in the NFL this year, long kicks are becoming more and more the norm and less the exception. But the Falcons, remember, have had a lot of kicking issues this year. Younghoe Koo is no longer on the roster. They have tried out several kickers, so it doesn't surprise me at all that they don't want to try for a risky long field goal attempt that would only tie the game. They're going for it. All right, now let's talk about the play. They put a man in motion, and the 49ers go with him, revealing man coverage, and they take a look at the player who has the most space, Drake London, working against Chase Lucas. Chase Lucas, in his 4th season, has not had a lot of playing time in the NFL, finally getting his op this year. He gets a great break on the football, and he breaks up the pass for a huge stop on 4th down. Wow. The 49ers are now set up beautifully with a golden opportunity in the 4th quarter to put this game away. This is a key moment for the game. The Falcons know it, so they call for a blitz, a 5-man pass rush, and we can see some of those defenders get through. And that's unfortunate for the Falcons because here, Kyle Shanahan has made the brilliant play call of the screen pass. A perfect way to start this drive. Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh really complementing each other well this season. With 3 minutes and 27 seconds left in the game, the 49ers are threatening. A touchdown here would put them up by 2 scores, putting the game all but out of reach for the Atlanta Falcons. Obviously an important play here, and the design calls for Jauan Jennings to pin his man to the inside, allowing Christian McCaffrey to get to the outside. But Jennings throws in a move first. Not sure if that was by design or if something went wrong here. In any event, it allows the defender, Zach Harrison, to penetrate, bringing McCaffrey down for a huge loss in the backfield. And after the play, we see McCaffrey is a little bit slow to get up, and he would try to come out of the game for a breather. Well, this set up a huge 3rd down and 13, and Kyle Shanahan, in sort of a rare moment here, sends McCaffrey back in the game. He says, "I've called a play just for you. Let's take a look at it." Needing to get past the 9-yard line for a 1st down, Kyle Shanahan sends George Kittle down the middle. And as we've seen all game long, this draws the attention of the defense. Opening up, Christian McCaffrey. Jones rifles it into him. McCaffrey makes the catch. It's a huge 1st down. It keeps the clock running and gets the 49ers closer to that devastating touchdown blow that will finish this game off. He can tote the rock, but Christian McCaffrey is also 3rd in the NFL in receptions this year. Unbelievable. It's that 40,000 eyes on Larry Bird moment. Everybody knows who's getting the ball. It's Christian McCaffrey, stuffed, but he keeps working, keeps fighting, gets into the end zone, touchdown, absolutely unbelievable. Let's go back to the snap. And from this angle, we get a great view. Rookie guard Connor Colby, we're going to zoom in here. He pulls Christian McCaffrey into the end zone. Now, unlike the tush push, this is not legal. This is not allowed. This should have been called for a penalty, but it's hard to see in those scrums. The 49ers, they'll take this one. Eddie Pinheiro knocks through the extra point. So the 49ers go up 20-10, 2 scores, minutes to go in the 4th quarter. That's essentially your ball game, but I want to show you one more play here. It's 4th down. It's the last gasp for the Atlanta Falcons, and who else? Fittingly, Tatum Bethune, filling in for the injured Fred Warner, would be the one to put the pressure on Michael Penix, forcing the errant throw, allowing the 49ers to officially win this ball game. I think it was Barrows that joked afterwards Fred Warner was all over the field, and he kind of was. We see him on the Jumbotron. We saw him in the tunnel after the game talking to the players. His presence was felt on this field. We can't say enough about the play of Tatum Bethune all throughout the game, and even eventually securing the win for the San Francisco 49ers. What an incredible game. Wow, what an incredible game that was. A hugely important victory for San Francisco as the Rams kept pace in the NFC West. Matt Stafford throwing 5 touchdown passes against that Jaguars defense. And after this game, there was a common theme that we heard over and over and over again, which was that the most important offseason acquisition for the 49ers has to be Robert Saleh, right? This defense was incredible, holding Michael Penix to just 55% of his passes, only 6.3 yards per attempt, and Bijan Robinson only gains 40 yards on just 2.9 yards per attempt. And that's with only 2 sacks in the game, and yet another game with 0 interceptions for the 49ers defense. That's a streak of 14 consecutive games without a pick, an NFL record. And just think about the fact that they legalized the forward pass in 1925. Yeah, we're 100 years into this thing, and no team has ever gone 14 games without an interception. Well, the 49ers have, and yet this defense is still smothering. Robert Saleh, it is said that you don't do more with less, you do less with less, but he seems to be doing more with the guys he has available. And I guess we've also got to credit John Lynch in the personnel department too. They went out and acquired young, hungry players who are talented and ready to step into these kind of big time roles. That defense looks great. It really is next man up. And how far this thing is going to go, who knows? But so far, the future appears to be in great shape for the San Francisco 49ers. On the offensive side of the football, we talked about the fact that CMC had 200 total yards, 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards on the ground, 5.0 yards per carry. But he was also the leading receiver for the 49ers in this game. Christian McCaffrey, he can do it all. He looks absolutely like he is in top form just when the 49ers need him the most without some of their other key players. All right, folks, if you have signed up for the Patreon, I want to give you my personal and sincere thanks. Thanks to your support, it is possible for me to continue doing these videos and posting them and making them available for everybody to enjoy. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. You humble me and you honor me, and it allows me to take the time to give you the quality that you deserve. So thank you so much. From the bottom of my heart, I truly appreciate it. All right, next week, the 49ers travel to Houston. Houston is going to be on a short week. Now, they're playing at home. They're not the road team on a short week, but they are playing on Monday Night Football at Seattle. So a tough physical game at Seattle, and then there is still that element of travel for the Houston Texans. They go home, the 49ers get an extra day of rest, and importantly, hopefully, it seems to be trending that we're going to get Brock Purdy and Ricky Pearsall back, in addition to George Kittle, who returned this week. Of course, CMC and Kyle Juszczyk are already there. So they might have close to a full complement of offensive weapons for this game to go toe-to-toe with CJ Stroud. Wow, what an awesome game. That is going to be against D'Amico Ryans. It's going to be Robert Saleh versus D'Amico Ryans. A lot of storylines in this game. This is going to be one you don't want to miss, and I can't wait to see what happens in that game. I don't know what's going to happen in that game, but you know we are going to be here to break down the film, and I will see you guys then.